Welcome back. You're still watching Rapid Done right here on Rapid Television. And of course, it is the 9 o'clock hour, the time for the big conversation. My name is Victor Arke.
My name is Martha Alu. Good morning and welcome to the big conversation this beautiful Monday.
And of course, today on the big conversation, we are looking at a very important national topic, Nigeria democracy at 27. Of course, we're going to explore governance, trust, and performance. Now, Nigeria has practiced uninterrupted democracy since 1999, and over these 27 years, there have been major changes in leadership, policies, and public expectations. But alongside these changes, many Nigerians still ask the same questions. Is governance really working for the people? Can citizens still trust the system? And how has democracy truly performed in improving everyday life? And to help us answer these questions, we are joined by Peter Oshaji, the Director of Research at NOI Polls, one of Nigeria's leading opinion research organizations known for tracking public sentiment and national trends. Hello, Peter. Good morning. And welcome to the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, Mr.
Welcome.
Peter, for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So on the 12th of June, Nigeria celebrated Democracy Day. Right. So in your personal view, how would you rate our democracy today?
I think let me say it based on how Nigerians reacted to our polls.
Okay.
Yeah. So we conducted a poll just in the first week of June, and we've been doing that over the years. So we can have like a trend of what Nigerians have been saying. But when we asked Nigerians how they feel about democracy, the general opinion was that Nigerians are highly dissatisfied about the way democracy has been going in the country. 72% of our respondents actually said that they are dissatisfied with how democracy has been going in the country, which is quite worrisome, because when we compared it with our last year's poll, it was just 54% of Nigerians that were dissatisfied with the way democracy was going. So that's rapid increase in the level of dissatisfaction is a bit worrisome. And when we dive deep a little into that data, you see that a good proportion of those that were dissatisfied are young Nigerians, who should be the optimistic people, who should be the people that are pushing things. But most of the young Nigerians were really dissatisfied. We also see that most of those dissatisfaction was coming to us from the southern part of the country. So that's part of the things that we have noticed from our poll, what's worrisome is that the dissatisfaction level is high.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that Nigerians are saying they don't want democracy, because when we still ask them, are you optimistic about Nigeria's democratic future? 71% of them say that they are optimistic. So that paradox is what I would say is Nigerian current situation.
Right.
We are dissatisfied but hopeful.
All right. Of course, you're taking that from the poll as well, also giving us as your personal view.
So my personal opinion, my personal view is democracy is supposed to show in how my life is changing, or my lived experience. So if I'm not having a better life, or if I'm having a better life, I would say democracy is working. So personally, I would say democracy has delivered in some areas, but in many other areas, like area of security, in the area of personal well-being, I will rate democracy very low.
All right.
Very low.
Yeah.
All right. We see that you've released a number of figures after this poll. My primary question this morning would be, how do you put out these polls? Because, I mean, these are numbers, and these numbers are supposed to reflect what the people think.
Yes.
So how do you put out these polls? How do you collect this data?
Yeah, so what we do is that we have a large database of Nigerians, active numbers that we call both disaggregated by gender and age and by states and all. And then by the time we speak with them over the telephone, we put this data together. We use a sample of adult Nigerians that is representative enough, so that by the time we are able to aggregate our results, we disseminate it through our website and also through social media and other even platforms like this helps to let Nigerians just amplify the voice of other Nigerians, on how things are going.
So that's how you get the polls?
Yeah, so we speak with everyday Nigerian,
Okay.
cut across the country. We try to make sure that it's representative across the geopolitical zones, and then at least you can disaggregate findings across the geopolitical zones, and you can also make inferences from that data.
Okay.
And then the confidence level is high in terms of how accurate our sampling is. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, you'd made mention of the fact that whilst Nigerians actually express their frustration, a group of Nigerians still have that optimism when it comes to the fact that they still believe in democracy, they still want democracy, to be, to of course remain in the country Nigeria. But again, can a democracy actually remain stable if citizens, continue to believe in the system, but of course they lose confidence in the institutions that operate the system?
Very good question, because I think the issue of trust is that thin line that connects everything together. Democracy is all about institutions.
Right.
And then you need to trust the institutions that sustains democracy. When we did a poll, we tried to delve in the issue of trust. And the finding was quite interesting, because when we asked Nigerians how much they trust certain key institutions, we asked them about INEC.
Okay.
And the score was very poor.
Oh, wow.
We asked them about how they trust the military. And the military was, interestingly, Nigerians trust the military much better than many other institutions. When we asked about the police, it was also quite woeful and poor. But when we asked about traditional leaders, it was the best of all the institutions, and CSOs. So Nigerians seem to trust the CSOs more than and the traditional leaders more than all the other institutions. The legislature was even so bad when we saw the findings of what Nigerians are saying in terms of trust. So trust deficit is something that we really need to look at, and it's going to take a long time for us to work on this gap, because trust is not what you earn in a day, and if there's a deficit in trust, it will take you so much more effort to try to get people back on track. So we need to monitor this closely, and government needs to really find a way to have like a trust barometer where they can really be saying, okay, compared to last month, are people trusting us better based on certain. So they should find a way of tracking trust level of Nigerians and doing things. And I think that's why some agencies of government exist, just to make sure trust improves. It's not utterly poor or worse, but it needs to improve so that Nigerians can feel democracy better. Nigeria can recommend and speak for democracy as something that's changing their lives, rather than something that is making them worse off. Yeah. So when you now try to explain trust, you see a very close similarity with or a close correlation between the level of security and trust. Because people believe democracy, one of the things you should deliver to them is safety. That's right. So when there is when people are worried about their safety, then the correlation is always there for them to say they don't trust the system. But when security improves, then I'm sure the issue of trust will now automatically begin to align and people.
All right, Mr. Oshaji. This question I have is in two parts. The first part, we have countries like the USA that has practiced democracy for about over 200 years, right? And we have Ghana and we have South Africa that has practiced for a little over 30 years, both countries. And then we still have Nigeria here, 27 years. And the expectations we have of our democracy is almost like what we have for US, South Africa, for Ghana. And all three of these countries have their democracy tagged as a flawed kind of democracy. Do you think that 27 years is too young to expect some of the changes that we expect from Nigeria's democratic system?
So, 27 years might not be exactly how old our democracy is. Maybe uninterrupted democracy, yes.
Yeah.
But of course, we've had experiences of democracy before 1999.
Yeah.
But of course, not as close as countries like the United States, who have been there, and I call them the architect of the whole thing. And yeah, so are Nigerians wrong for expecting much from democracy? No. Because democracy is all about the people. It's about representation. So if you have people that you have selected to represent you in the higher place, and you are not getting back from them what you expect, then I think Nigerians have the right to complain. And if 72% of Nigerians are now saying, I'm not satisfied with the way this democracy is going, I think that is highly worrisome. Only 21% of our respondents said they are satisfied. Other 9% decided not to respond. So 71, only 21% of people happy with democracy. I don't think it's a good result. If your child comes back home with 21% performance in school, I'm sure you will look for extra classes for the child to make sure the child does better. So I think the government needs to do more. They need to look for what are we not doing right enough. And of course, when we asked where they think people are not doing too well, I'll just read it out to you. Of course, security 74%. Education is also high about what they want the government to prioritize. Not that they want government to do better there. They want government to also do better with healthcare. Things that affect their lives directly. We have a government that is so focused on infrastructure and building all the long roads and all the bridges. And that is what people think democracy is all about. But when democracy affects people faster, when their personal lives are improved. And the way to easily improve someone's life is when you give the person access to quality healthcare, you give the person education and security. Yeah, and when those things are sorted, I'm sure the ratings will probably begin to look better. And just to add that the other polls that we've done and other learnings, we do on a monthly basis what we call governance poll. And we just ask Nigerians how they rate the government, on different areas. And we have a trend from 2017, and you can check it up on our website. It's very, very interesting to see how that trend has been going. When this administration came in, the trust level or the ratings was very poor. But suddenly the ratings started improving at an alarming rate, even all the way to past what we have seen in the recent years. But with the higher rate of insecurity around and dissatisfaction, people it started nosediving. So I think that's where the government needs to quickly pick up again and at least try and maintain the good rating that people had around January, February this year for the government. But from March thereabouts, the rating began to drop from what we noticed.
Okay. I said this is in like two parts. The second part I was going to ask is our global ranking, right? Nigeria scores about 4.16 out of 10 on the Global Democracy Index, and we have 106. We're 106th in the world regarding democracy. Now, aside that, Ghana scores about 6.43, South Africa 7.5, Mauritius, which is a small island nation, right, is ranked about the 20th in the world, and it's Africa's only full democracy as we speak. The question is, what is Nigeria doing wrong that these countries are doing right? I know that you have made mention of some of these areas that the people have indicated as some of the areas that they would love for the government to improve on. But we're speaking politically now as regards electing of politicians into office to represent us. What are they doing right that you think that as Nigerians we're doing wrong?
Yeah, I think it starts all from how our leaders are selected. You know, because when you look at how some of those other countries, even if you observe elections across the continent, you will see that it's a lot more different in Nigeria. When even election of nearby countries like Sierra Leone, and you could see a bit more, even though they are smaller, of course, we know, but you could see how organized and how coordinated the entire system was. But when you see the last election, some people were even comparing it to a crime scene, you know, where a lot of things were happening, and then you could see what people trusted to see. IREV work, people IREV didn't work. At the end of the day, the court makes all the decisions. That doesn't happen everywhere. I mean, in other places, like the countries you mentioned, just around us, they try to conclude everything at the polling booth, and the winners are happy, and the losers congratulate those that have won. But our democracy is still very much. There's so much distrust in all these the people handling it, and it starts from why will he be the president that is going to select who is going to be the umpire. How would that not affect the processes? And we're already having some complaints already right now. Okay, that's already an angle that brings distrust. At the end of the day, when the result comes out, it's going to be the court. The court should end this, or they say if you are not happy, go to the court. And we all know how the court is, and people don't trust judiciary either. So there's no way on the ranking index that Nigeria will rank better than where we are ranking currently, except we address some key issues, and some of those key issues has to do with how well our elections are perceived. International organizations observe this election; they give findings, but we are quick to say, "No, how many polling booths were you?" And then we try to always, douse the effect of the observership. But all those things, at the end of the day, ends up in how the kind of ranking that we get, and we need to find a way to indeed get it a little better, at least better this time around. I can see that INEC is trying to do a little well with timing, so that the election can come earlier, and then if there are cases in court, you don't have to swear in someone that there's a lot of contentions about. All those processes will, at the end of the day, hopefully give us a better output and outcome, and maybe we can just have a better rating for democracy. But at the end of when we look at it, at the end of it all, is how well do we put trust in institutions? If the institutions are not doing well, there's no way we can get a good ranking. So government needs to do much more to get people to trust them.
Now, when you talk about doing much more, of course, we'll see that given that 25% of respondents actually did say that governance and leadership is very poor, basically in Nigeria. So when you say government needs to do a lot more, specifically based on maybe personal views or even the organizational chart, what do you think what are the specific things that I think the government needs to do to ensure that they actually improve the ratings?
I don't know whether it's not the government's responsibility to change both our party, but I think some of what they do is what has caused it. Right? So when we asked our respondents, how many of you voted in the last election? How many of you have voted before? 90% of them said they have voted before. But how many of you voted in the last election? There was a significant drop. So that shows voter apathy, right? So it's I think government needs to And when we ask them why would you vote in the next election, the number dropped further.
Okay.
Right. So people are there's likely going to be less people voting. And why? When we asked them, they said it's because they feel their votes won't count. They feel the results have already been finalized before the day and all that, and that's what Nigerians are saying. So what can Nigerians do, or what can the government do? I think INEC needs to educate the voters better, and they really need to help the voters that are interested in at least getting registered to get registered. I hear so much problem going on with the current continuous voters registration. People can't access their personal their voters cards.
Yeah.
But why must I vote with a card? Those are part of the issues.
Okay.
Why must I vote with a card? Do I pay my tax with a card? You have my tax number. You find a way of taking it from my salary, and it gets to you at the end of the day. So why must I vote with a card? So those are part of the issues. Why can't we have electronic means that aids our voting in a way that improves the transparency of the entire process? Those are things. Well, of course, some of those things are already too late, because we're already at the corridors of the election already, and politics already everywhere. So now we're talking of 2031. For 2027, I think the ship has sailed. The way we can't do much change anymore.
Right.
But for at least for now, government should try and encourage more people to show interest in voting, to come out and exercise their franchise. If last election it was just 21% of the entire voters that voted, can INEC even give itself target and say at least let's make it 30% again? It's been long we had up to 30% of our registered voters voting. So I think that should be part of what they should be assessing. And so for INEC to do that, they need to make it easier. Diaspora people should be able to vote, and then make things easier to get your voter's card easy. If I'm a registered voter and I have my number, I don't need to go to the polling booth with a physical card. If I call my number and you can see my identity show, my NIN, everything consistent, then I should vote.
Yeah. Now, looking at all of these as well, with some of the things you've also said, do you think that the government and, of course, government institutions pay attention to the needs of the Nigerian people?
Yeah, so I think it's getting better, because you now see a lot of feedback mechanisms created by different agencies, which they try to use, but of course it's not yet where it should be. So the ordinary Nigerians feels the only time they can get the attention of a politician is when they are coming for their votes or during election, but in cycle governance is very difficult for them to get their attention, and it's something that we need to put into our politics. If you look at the American system, the way they use polls there, it's very, it's cardinal to everything. In fact, they will just tell you, oh, there's a slight drop in this person's rating by younger Americans, poll findings, and they take all those things serious. But in Nigeria, whenever a poll doesn't favor a party, they will say, oh, it's a sponsored poll. Oh, it's our political enemies that are, bringing the poll. And some of those things, we must create systems that shows transparency and encourages transparency, and gets people to at least know how they can air their views and how they can give government responsible feedback. And if that doesn't happen, people will begin to look for options than to go to the street and create trouble here and there, and that's when you see government responding quickly. You see military, you see when people try to, you'll be like, oh, so they know that So they could respond this quick to, protest. The government don't want you to protest, but at the same time, when you make your views in other civil ways, in easier ways, it seems nobody's listening to you.
Okay, Mr. Osagi, my next question. Nigerians of a certain generation will tell you, oh, during Abacha's time, there was light. During this person's time, the economy grew and what have you. And in fact, statistically, Nigeria's economy grew during the democratic era. But while it grew, we have made simultaneously more poor people during that administration, because it's very confusing how you grow in the economy and simultaneously have like more people, So do you think from your polls now, I don't know if you have done anything regarding both the military and the democratic era here in Nigeria, what do Nigerians think about the democratic rule? How has it affected the military rule, rather? How has it affected the democratic rule, and which do you think that Nigerians leaning towards from your polls?
Yeah, so from our poll, as I said, 71% of Nigerians are still optimistic
about
that democracy can work in Nigeria. So that is a very good part, Mark. And when we look at the trend, and when we even ask those 21% that said they are satisfied, one of the major things they said is because they are free to hear their views, even though most of those are older Nigerians who have experienced
the other
military regime. So the younger Nigerians don't really know the difference between being able to hear your view freely in a democracy and the situation it was under the military. Yeah. So of course, it all comes down to the fact that there is a good proportion of Nigerians who are still optimistic that democracy can work, and they believe in democracy, and that is the general leaning of an ordinary Nigerian. Of course, we see what's going on around our sub-region in West Africa, where most other people are leaning to other forms of government. But if you still ask an average Nigerian today, they'll still by far to tell you that democracy is a better way. But if we also begin to, I think it's a matter of time. Some of these things, if democracy continues on a wrong trajectory and is not delivering to people's lived experiences a better life for people, and people are now seeing what's happening in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and all those places, and they are seeing better life for the people, better prospects, things will begin to change. Those expectations will begin to change, and people will begin to clamor for different things. But we pray never to get back to just like going back to the wilderness for us, because some of us at least were alive, and we were still a bit young then, but we experienced what it was then to have sole administrators in universities, to have just one person make one law, and everything you have been doing for the past years, it just ends. So that we don't ever want to go back there, and want to get the young people to really align and see that democracy is still a better option. The worst of democracy is still better than the best of a military regime.
Mr. Osagi, Chatham House concluded that military was not more just accountable, and it was not efficient. It was no more efficient than democracy. This is what Chatham House concluded. Now, after that, he says it is not less corrupt either, which means that both administrations experience almost the same challenges, both in the military and in the democratic era. Now, if the corruption is the same under both regimes, do you think the problem is the system we run by, or the people that are in the system?
Yeah, so I think it's all about the people, because even in a democracy, they say that it's going for the people, by the people, for the people. It's all about the people, right? If the people who are, let's say, at the bottom of the pyramid now, are not demanding for the right thing from the top, then it's likely, or ordinarily, the way the triangle is supposed to be, that accountability triangle is supposed to be the people, the government, and services, right? So because the government comes to the people for their vote, and the people give the government the vote. The government now give the people the service they want, and because of you give me the service, I now put you back there. So if the government is not giving the people the service, and the people are not coming back to government to say, hey, government, you promised this, and you're not doing it. And there's no strong opposition. There's no enough opposition to unsettle government from just doing what it would do without pressure, or just give the barest minimum it can give. Then you'll continue to have issues with the product at the end of the day. So I think it's all about the people. The people need to demand better. The people's voice needs to get louder to the government than any other voice. They shouldn't assume that people are doing well when most people actually are doing very poorly.
Right.
So if the language should go strong to government that, hey, 72% of people are not satisfied with this democracy. 71%, however, are still optimistic that you can do it. So, paradox, government, solve the puzzle. Give the people what they want. It's about security. It's not about education. It's not about healthcare. It's good to do the roads. It's good to do all those. But balance it. Security first. If I'm safe in the democracy, then I will feel I'm getting what I need. I can plan. I can do many other things. And honestly, we still have to give it to the administration currently in some little ways, as in the area of some good reforms that have happened. We have to acknowledge a much more stability in our macro economy. It's not yesterday feeding to micro lives. Yeah, so that's why the micro is still a bit weak, but at the macro level, I think a lot has happened, and that has helped the country to stabilize. So right now, let the dividend of democracy get to the people.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to, of course, delve even deeper after the break just in a moment. This day with us, we're still speaking with Peter Oshaji, Director of Research, NOI Polls. After the break, we're going to continue with the conversation. Just stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is still the big conversation right here on Rapid Television. And of course, we've been speaking with Peter Oshaji, Director of Research, NOI Polls, and we'll be talking about Nigerians' view regarding the Democracy Day celebration, of course, that took place June 12th, 2026. But of course, whilst we went through the poll as well, you talked about the numbers, 72% of people that are dissatisfied. And of course, with a high number of around 54% coming from the southern region of the country. And of course, around 33% also coming from the northeastern region of the country. Why is that so, based on the poll?
So, when we get our results of our polls, we try to disaggregate it at least by geopolitical zones.
Okay.
Because at least our sampling allows us at that level to do some generalization. So for this particular poll, we saw a swing in the responses of those that are not satisfied more in the south. So if you look at the south and the southwest, especially southeast parts, were their level of dissatisfaction were highest. And then when you now look at the north central was also very high, and you look at those areas that are currently being having a lot of issues with insecurity, right? The north central region. So if you compare that with the last, the north central had always had a good rating for democracy, but this time around the figure was quite the dissatisfaction level was high in the north central. If you look at the north where we had most people that were satisfied were in the northeast and in the northwest. It's to me, it's I think it's, I would say I should have expected more dissatisfied people from that axis.
Exactly.
But I think there's this insecurity level. I think the war on insecurity there is beginning to reduce, and I think there's less of the issues there compared to what we're beginning to have in the North Central, and maybe some part of the Southwest. Yeah, so I think those are part of the things that could have swinged the mood of the nation. And you know, things around poll is that it's a very let's say it's something that changes people. My perception about a thing can change in a matter of minutes, right? What I perceived before could be that the government is doing very poorly with insecurity, and then just in 10 minutes time I get something that, like, oh wow, so the government is doing this, and then I get to change my perception. So and that's all what we measure in polls. So that's why polls must continue. It's not what you just at a point not say, just take a snapshot and say, oh, this is how things are. Things keep changing, and that's why government have that window to build confidence now. You know, now that it has gone so bad, so sometimes for those of us in development space, when you have a very poor baseline, it's an opportunity for you to show quick impact. Because if my baseline is low and I do the barest minimum, it will show that, oh, things are changing. You know, so when things are quite bad, it's also an opportunity for the government to show, you know, one or two immediate results and actions that will translate into results. Imagine one or two things happening in the Southwest where there's a lot of worry now and some things are being exposed. You could imagine the kind of confidence that will bring into the system. You know, this is the worst time for us to hear of any other evil or any other unfortunate insecurity breakdown happening anywhere. No, this is times where the government must, you know, show that we are on top of this. You know, what they will plan to do with the forest guards. Let's see that come into play. Let's see, you know, let's see those drones you're talking about. Let's see them do something, you know, and not just let the talk reduce. You told the president said, oh, you stay here, code here, live here, don't go. Why would you? Is it by what you said? Actually, make it can work. Is that will happen? If those are coding, see where their coding can work better here, they won't go. Yeah. If those that are selling on the road, you know, or doing menial jobs are having more to do, and the economy is not as biting as it is, of course everybody will want to stay back. People are going across the Niger and I mean to other countries just because they want to afford they want to get a better life, and that's what the government should try and see. How can the normal Nigerian feel government better than they are currently feeling it? I know there are a lot of things that they have in their, all I call is in their cooler, but it's time to do it. Not they should not just keep waiting till, oh, if I come back a second time. No, do what you can do right now, and let the people feel the impact. The minister of the new minister of finance is already talking about, you know, some particular train stations, train services, light rails that they want to do within countries from savings from the new tax law. You know, so do it. Let's start seeing things happen.
Let's talk about
let's start seeing things happen, and that will boost the confidence. So this is the confidence building time, and it's the best time to do that for the government, because currently it is very poor, but it can get better.
All right. Let's talk solutions now. Your poll showed that about 90% of people said that they had voted before, and I think less than 8% or 9% said they had never voted, which meant that we have had it good at some point in our Nigerian electoral system. Now, the data also shows that between 2003, we had about 69% of people come out to vote. And that number drastically dropped in 2023 to about 27%. Your data also shows that Nigerians say they still want to vote. Young Nigerians particularly say they still want to vote in 2027. And the young Nigerians constitute the largest population in Nigeria, about 70%.
Yeah.
So what can be done between now and the 2027 polls to actually get them to the polls and let them stay there?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First, there are quite a number of Nigerians, young Nigerians, that are just coming to the voting bracket. They were not able to vote before, but now they are 18 and above. Yeah. So there has to be a very clear plan on how those people can easily come into the voting space. And it's not rocket science. There has to be information targeted to that age bracket. They are not the people that will regularly pick a newspaper to read. They are easily influenced by things on social media and information that comes to them in a quick way, snappy way, and not one long information and all that. Just let me know. Drop pins of where you can easily, in the next office I can go and get registered. If I just put where I am, I know how far it will take me to the next office. I go there and I'm registered. And let them feel that registering really makes you, a better person and a better Nigerian. And I think, and even the adult Nigerians need to do more in encouraging people. But also say that the fact that we had high numbers before that were voting, proportion, some of those numbers we know are not absolutely correct, because some of those numbers are flawed because of we have seen situations whereby voters were even more than registered voters, in the past. So it's not absolutely, we can't just take it fully like that. I think I trust what we are seeing a little more now, that it's the apathy level is very high, and very few people are voting. But as I said, INEC should take it upon itself to see how they can build confidence in younger Nigerians to come out to vote, because when the poll finding is showing that younger Nigerians are really showing interest in voting. Okay. But if they are not now able to register, then of course they will be handicapped. There's no way they will be able to do that and exercise their franchise. So government should make it easy for them to register, and of course things around the card issue. You must have a card and all that. Find a way that if I'm a registered Nigerian and I'm a registered voter, I'm on the voters register, then there's no reason why I should go to the polling station and not be able to exercise my franchise on that day. Okay. For some elections, I've gone. You see people in my household that actually are registered voters, but because maybe their card is missing or what minor reason, that's why they are not voting. And that's when you put that number together, it's a huge number. So we must look for how all those minor things that disenfranchises people, we should take them out. All those bottlenecks that you must register, you must go and vote in a particular place. Why must I vote in a particular place? Some of those things we need to address. We need to address them and go beyond that, and so that more people can vote.
Just a quick one as well. When you collect this data, talking about your polls as NOI, what do you do with them beyond just showing it to Nigerians?
Yes, so very good question, because we have we're building a massive database currently, and so part of what we do 5 things in NOI Polls. We have polling service, we have research, we have strategy, and we have data bank. So this data bank is where we that's why I tell you that if you go to our website right now, you will see our governance poll from 2017 trending up until last month, right? And all those can help people to form informed decision and to see how things are going. And a lot of research can be done based on that alone. Electricity poll also, and all that. A lot of polls that we do that we just used to get the opinions of Nigerians. So what we do is that with the data bank is something we're strengthening right now, such that we are building indexes that helps us to see how things are moving, and then we're going to trying to also building dashboards that will make it easy for people to appreciate some of these trends, and then you people on their own can also just log in and be able to see things for themselves without.
Just to rephrase that again, now, what is the impact these polls actually have first on the Nigerian citizens, and of course, how does the government also get to have access to those polls?
Yes.
And what have they done with this?
Yeah, so that's why I said, well, we use all platforms. First, one of the strongest ways government gets to hear this is by our collaborations with media, and we have a fantastic relationship with your organization, and that's part of how it goes to government. Beyond that, we also try to use our social media platforms, and we don't discount on any of those platforms. So people believe in Instagram that don't believe in Facebook, and people that believe in TikTok that don't believe in Twitter, for example, or X. So we use all the platforms to also disseminate these findings, and we also have convenings where we bring decision makers to sit and to we bring policy makers to the table with what we call I can just remember a program we do every year, biannually now, where we bring policy makers on certain issues. There's a time we had one on the malaria vaccine that was about to be introduced, and we brought policymakers, and that really drew a lot of national attention to that action that government was trying to do to make malaria vaccine available for Nigerians to reduce the burden of malaria deaths and all that. So we bring decision makers into convenings, and we present the data to them, and we also sometimes have media chats where we try to disseminate these findings, because data is not useful if it's just hanging on your shelf. All this data is helpful out there to shape what the direction government goes. And there are ministries we work with that they will specifically ask that, okay, help us find out what people are saying about this particular product that we have released. Okay, help us find out, and then by the time we're able to get the findings and we share with them, it helps them to know where the gaps are.
It's our government ministry.
Yes.
Okay.
That helps them to repurpose how it is implemented. So those are part of the ways we try to support government, and we collaborate, as an organization that gives them data for their daily decision making.
All right. Yeah. So if in 2028 another poll is being conducted, what are the indicators that will show that there's improvement, one, in democracy, or there's even a decline in democracy? What are those indicators that we should be looking at for?
Yeah, so one of the first things is going to be satisfaction level for democracy. For 2025, it was 54%. 2026, it has gone up to 72% dissatisfaction. Yeah, that's an upward trend of the graph. Is it going to drop in 2028? Well, we are eagerly waiting for that. We want to see, but it's not. It depends on what the government do between now and then, right? We'll also be looking at those that are satisfied. That's another indicator we want to track. Beyond those that we'll now look at what are the key drivers for dissatisfaction. Currently, the highest driver is insecurity. So will insecurity still be the topmost driver why people are dissatisfied? You know, we're also going to look at things around people's participation in the last election. So we're going to be tracking how many of our respondents actually voted in the last election. Was it compared? How we try and compare that with those that voted in 2023 and see we're able to do some trending. So many other things we'll like to be looking at in 2028, and we are hopeful that Democracy Day 2028 will be happier Nigerians with more trust in government and better performance. We're hopeful.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for your time. We do appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much.
That's a nice time with you.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be speaking with the Director of Research, NOI Polls, Peter Oshaji, who's been giving us some of his thoughts, of course, regarding Nigerians' view on democracy. Again, thanks so much for being here with us. Well, back to myself and Martha in the studio. Martha.
Well, I think he has said everything, concluding the conversation this morning. The most important thing is improved performance from the government, and not just talk, but active, execution of the promises that they have made. We're hoping that 2028 Democracy Day is going to be, or 2027 rather, I'm ahead of myself. Democracy Day will be a lot better because we'll see Nigerians happier and, with more trust for the government and its policies.
Definitely. And of course, that being said, this is all we're going to be taking on this edition of Rapid on this beautiful Monday morning. Do remember that you can follow us on our social media pages across our platform at Rapid TV, and you can get to rewatch all our episodes on our YouTube platform, which is at Official Rapid TV. And wherever you are in the world, you can watch us live using our website at www.arabianradiotv.com. My name is Victor Arke.
And my name is Martha Alu. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.